Well, thanks for coming out, guys. I know it was hard to make it out, so I appreciate you making it out, too. We're going to do our second session in the staff training, and as you can see, it's titled Volunteering and Dispensing. I know that those seem two incongruent topics. They don't necessarily go together, but this is the way that I had kind of set it up. I wanted to do something practical each time, but I wanted to do something kind of talking about the philosophy of how we do business. So I felt that, I think if it's all procedure and thought, then, or if it's all practical and all application, it gets a little bit boring. But when I can talk about two things, it helps to mix it up and helps to keep your attention. So every organization needs a plan to service their customers, care and develop their staff, and outreach to the community. So I actually think I heard somebody tell me that years ago. So I thought it was probably a consultant, an optometric consultant, or somebody else at a continuing education. So I tried to Google it and figure out who said it, but I can't figure out who said it. But I do think that those three things are important, and I kind of developed an idea around it: service to customers, care and development of staff, outreach to the community. So when you put those things on a triangle, customer service is one thing that we've tried to develop, care and development of staff is the other thing, and then community outreach. Well, what happens when you add those things together? When you add together customer service and then care and development of the staff, I think you get an excellent product. When you add together customer service and community outreach, you get meaningful consumerism. So to the customer, when they come in and they buy something, it has some meaning behind what they're buying, instead of just buying a bunch of garbage that ends up, you know, we've all done it. We've bought stuff at the store, it ends up in the trash, it had no meaning. But then when you combine community outreach and then care and development of the staff, then you get meaningful work for the staff. So we've tried to incorporate these ideas into our business. I think from the beginning, even before I was around, when Monica and Pam were around, I think that Dr. Smith gave excellent customer service. And that was a pillar of his practice, was to give really good customer service. You know, I think when you're only seeing 6 or 8 patients a day, I mean, you get to know these patients, you take your time and you go slow. We've worked on our customer service well. Sometimes we see 30, 35 patients a day. And we've done good all along, but it's different when you have that many customers. The other thing that we've done is care for the staff. We've tried to increase benefits as the business has grown. If we go back, when you do customer service and you do care and development of the staff, you get an excellent product. So the quality of the product that we've produced has grown immensely over the years. We do better with our lenses, we do better with our frames, we do better with our contact lenses. We have additional equipment back here to test. Even the building makes a big difference because we have the facilities that we need to execute. But what are we missing? That's a question.
More teamwork?
Training,
What are the 3 pillars there?
community outreach.
Well, what happens when you're missing one of those pillars?
System can fail sometimes.
Well, when you're missing one of those pillars, the meaningful work and the meaningful consumerism fade a little bit, don't they? That yellow is lighter colored than the brighter yellow next to it. I think we've developed excellent customer service and excellent care and development of the staff, which is equal to an excellent product. But when you don't have the community outreach pillar to the practice, the meaningful consumerism reduced a little bit. Now, people might come in and say, I like that practice. I like to buy a mojo, for example, because a mojo frame gives to the environment if you buy the eco, so they get some meaningful consumerism. Or if you're missing community outreach and next to that is the meaningful work for the staff, the work may be a little less meaningful if the staff is not involved in the community. So, I mean, we get that. We've done some stuff, and we'll go on about that. One quick example, we did a blood drive. But I think, but my point is on that graph, we're missing, or on that triangle, because we're missing one of those pillars, we're missing out on a little bit of the development of the practice. What happens when you build a structure, but you're missing a block, a Lincoln log or a Lego? Well, the structure doesn't hold up very well, does it? So we're missing community service. We miss out on meaning in our work. So ask yourself if you thought, I wish that I or we could do more. Sometimes there's something going on in the community that you think, well, I wish that we could do something. What do employees of other businesses say that are involved in their communities? I'll answer that question on the next slide. Customers miss out on the meaning in their purchases. Do customers ever ask you about the community efforts that we've been involved in? Because we've been involved in more than just the blood drive. We've done coat drives for Reynosa. We've done toy drives for Texas Baptist Children's Home. So I'm wondering, just answer.
We've done a lot. Flood victims, we've done a lot.
Yeah. Well, I think that we can have some consistencies in what we choose, and it's not all about the patients. I will describe that further as we go on.
Don't we also donate to the Round Rock Christian Academy?
We've done to Texas Baptist Children's Home. We do the toy drive.
I was talking about the school.
Well, that was for flood victims and that type of thing. It kind of funneled through there.
I was talking
But
about.
at that time, we did get a lot of compliments about they really appreciated the fact that we were staging it.
Mhm.
Or I got a lot of
Yeah.
it.
I was more talking about the sponsorship that we did with the Christian Academy School.
Round Rock Christian.
Yeah, Round Rock Christian.
Yeah, I talk about that a little bit,
Yeah.
and I have done that. I haven't promoted that to you guys a lot,
Right.
but we've done some sponsorship of Round Rock Christian Academy, and that we have done stuff. I want to coordinate these efforts more, is what I want. So, do customers ask about the community efforts? The answer is yes. You guys just answered that question. Yes, they want meaningful consumerism. Do you think that customers are more likely to support a business that reapplies their investment into the community?
Yes.
And I think the answer to that is a definitive yes. So this is Dixon Schwabel, which is a advertising firm in Buffalo, New York. And this is a company that's really involved in their communities. It's not a company that we know. I have a quote later on from Bank of America, and it's partly just because we know that company. But at Dixon Schwabel, which is from Buffalo, New York, Mom, they say, this employee says, as someone new to the company, I love seeing how compassionate everyone is. I have yet to come across someone working here that isn't involved with helping others in our community. I love that. It is so beautiful. I have also seen people band together to help one another during personal strife without any hesitations. The people here, starting from the very top, are amazing. I'm so glad that I am here and a part of this wonderful group of people. Each year we are given one free day of paid time off to volunteer in the community. They also organize group volunteer opportunities based on people's interests quarterly. This has allowed me to get involved in organizations that I wouldn't have had a chance to. From the Dixon Schwabel website, they continue to describe their outlook on the community. As a full-service marketing agency, we generate enthusiasm, energy, and action for our clients' brands. It's at the top of our to-do list every day. What's our secret weapon in this endeavor? A culture that fosters enthusiasm, energy, and action. In other words, mojo begets mojo. As you invest into the community, that begets mojo into this practice. Next quote on their website, and this is even more applicable, I think. One of the joys of working here is the ability to contribute to the wider community. For one thing, a number of worthy nonprofits are on our client roster, but we also encourage employees to volunteer their energy, talent, passions to charities of all kinds throughout the region. Their takeaway, it feels good to do good. So, to continue on, why should we volunteer as a team? Why should we be involved in the community? You gave me a huge sense of achievement. This comes from teambonding.com. You gain a sense of achievement as a group. That almost forms a whole new entity. When you're doing it together as a group, it ends up bonding you together. You'll work towards your company's policy of corporate social responsibility. That's something that I'm suggesting that we develop right here. You'll take part in something memorable that couldn't be done sitting in a conference room. At the end of the day, if you're making money, it's great to make money, but that is a little bit, we all need money to live. We've got to put food on the table, but that's a little bit empty. If we can do something a little bit deeper that's a little bit fulfilling and that has some lasting meaning, even putting glasses on people has lasting meaning. But when we can do just a little bit more, then I think those extra steps that you take really have bigger, lasting effects on not just the people you serve, but on yourself. So scientifically, why should you volunteer? You can read the points below it, but volunteers live longer and healthier lives. This is from Psychology Today. This is from a PhD. So longer, healthier lives. Volunteers establish stronger relationships. They make memories together. They connect you to your community. Volunteering is good for your career, teamwork, communication, problem solving. Volunteering is good for society. You meet people's needs and you raise awareness. Volunteering gives you a sense of purpose. It gives you a sense of pride, renews your motivation and sense of achievement. So, as we noted, we've done stuff. Coat drive for Reynosa. Christmas gifts, Texas Baptist Children's Home. Collections of supplies for Hurricane Harvey. Blood drive. And this is a question for you guys. Answer it. Were these successful? What are your thoughts? Did the drive stimulate you? Do you think they had lasting meaning?
Yeah, absolutely.
Which one of those? Every one of those, or
I think
individual?
every one of them, yeah.
Good. So volunteering in my life. So I did some mission work before I went to optometry school. I worked in Eritrea, which is in Northeast Africa. I spent 6 months there training opticians to make glasses. I had to raise support. That was another level of volunteering for me when I'm asking other people to go before me and to fund what I'm doing. That's a little bit humbling. When we went to Reynosa, we were giving eye care, we were doing school supplies, coat drives, and handing out groceries. I've done some humanitarian work when I was in optometry school, SPOSH, students volunteering, optometric services. We went to Bolivia, Costa Rica, and Paraguay to do eye exams there. Kristen and I give to the church and to missionaries. We give to these weekly and monthly. Community, Austin Life Care. A few years ago, Kristen used to teach at Austin Life Care. She'd teach birthing classes to expectant mothers. I felt like that was actually a sacrifice on my part too, because I was taking care of the kids after I'd get home, long day, tired. I had the kids to myself. That's just part of parenting, but I felt like it was my part in her volunteering. And then for Round Rock Christian, this is partly a personal contribution, but this is partly a business contribution. We've donated to the new building that they're building. And I'm going to talk about these last two ones, the community through Austin Life Care and the community through Round Rock Christian. That one has hurt a little bit as far as trying to make those donations because for the building fund, it was a bigger commitment for the business because they've advertised for us. At the end of the day, it's questionable if you get your money back out of the advertising. But it is to support the organization and the building. And we had to make a payment this year on that. And it was a chunk of cash, and the expenses have been really big since we've gotten into this building. But we went ahead and did it. One of the points that I'm going to make is that when it hurts a little bit and it's a little bit harder, you get a little bit more out of that. I think when you look at all these things, my mission work, my humanitarian work, even the tithe that we give to the church, those ones don't hurt as much. The community effort took more of me, and I think I actually got more out of that. So I use scripture from the Bible because that's what I know well, and I think this offers a really good point. You may have heard this story. It's a parable by Jesus. It's called The Widow's Mite. It says, Jesus sat down opposite the treasury and watched the people putting money into the offering box. Many rich people put in large sums, and a poor widow came in many rich people put in large sums, and a poor woman came in and put 2 small copper coins, which make a penny. And he called his disciples and he said to them, "Truly I say to you this, the poor widow who put in 2 copper pennies has put in much more than all those contributing to the offering box." So why did she put in more? What made her offering so much special?
Sacrifice.
So much more special. It goes on to say, For they all contributed out of their abundance, the rich people did. But she out of her poverty has put in everything she had, all she had to live on. So to be effective, I think giving has to be sacrificial. So when it hurts a little bit more, and when you're going out there and your efforts are actually sweat off of your brow, or they're more involved, I think that's when the community benefits more. That's when you benefit more. That's when the business as a whole, the group of us, benefit more. So we've wanted our kids to be involved in that. That's the main reason that Kristen and I started going to Reynosa, is because we wanted the kids to see giving in action, and we wanted to have them incorporate that into who they are. So because I think it fosters an attitude of thankfulness rather than entitlement. It provides meaning in the kids' lives. It makes them better individuals, more pleasurable to be around, because they're not always pleasurable to be around. Results. Well, we haven't done it as much as we should. But when we were in Reynosa, one thing that we did was we went from house to house, and we gave out basic toiletries, shampoos, rice and beans, basic foods. Luke was so excited about that. He thought it was just really neat. When we went back the next time, he was asking, like on the way down, if we were doing that again. So the application is that as we volunteer, as we go forward, we'd like you and your families to be involved in our efforts. Even your kids. So we've got a 5-minute talk. Actually, it's about 3.5-minute talk here on TED. We won't use TED every week, but we will today. You think the volume's on that?
No, it's not on the TV because it makes so much noise.
Yeah, hang on, I'll pause it. Because
Oh, you've got it on outside already.
No, 25.
the
29.
most annoying feature ever.
Yeah, I can't turn it
29.
on. All right, go for it.
25.
Volume 38.
George, I am the head of development for a nonprofit called Robin Hood. When I'm not fighting poverty, I'm fighting fires as the assistant captain of a volunteer fire company. Now, in our town, where the volunteers supplement a highly skilled career staff, you have to get to the fire scene pretty early to get in on any action. I remember my first fire. I was the second volunteer on the scene, so there was a pretty good chance I was going to get in. But still, it was a real foot race against the other volunteers to get to the captain in charge to find out what our assignments would be. When I found the captain, he was having a very engaging conversation with the homeowner, who was surely having one of the worst days of her life. Here it was, the middle of the night. She was standing outside in the pouring rain, under an umbrella, in her pajamas, barefoot, while her house was in flames. The other volunteer who had arrived just before me, let's call him Lex Luger.
That was
Got
Lex
to the
Luger, I
captain
think.
first, and was asked to go inside and save the homeowner's dog. A dog! Oh, I was stunned with jealousy. Here was some lawyer or money manager who for the rest of his life gets to tell people that he went into a burning building to save a living creature. Just because he beat me by 5 seconds. Well, I was next. The captain waved me over. He said, Bezos, I need you to go into the house. I need you to go upstairs, past the fire, and I need you to get this woman a pair of shoes. That's where. So, not exactly what I was hoping for, but off I went. Up the stairs, down the hall, past the real firefighters who were pretty much done putting out the fire at this point, into the master bedroom to get a pair of shoes. Now, I know what you're thinking, but I'm no hero. I carried my payload back downstairs where I met my nemesis and the precious dog by the front door. We took our treasures outside to the homeowner where, not surprisingly, his received much more attention than did mine. A few weeks later, the department received a letter from the homeowner thanking us for the valiant effort displayed in saving her home. The act of kindness she noted above all others, someone had even gotten her a pair of shoes. You know, in both my vocation at Robin Hood and my avocation as a volunteer firefighter, I am witness to acts of generosity and kindness on a monumental scale. But I'm also witness to acts of grace and courage on an individual basis. And you know what I've learned? They all matter. So as I look around this room at people who either have achieved or are on their way to achieving remarkable levels of success, I would offer this reminder. Don't wait. Don't wait until you make your first million to make a difference in somebody's life. If you have something to give it now. Serve food at a soup kitchen, clean up a neighborhood park, be a mentor. Not every day is going to offer us a chance to save somebody's life, but every day offers us an opportunity to affect one. So get in the game. Save the shoes. Thank you.
So the quote from Dixon Schwabel was on this bottom here. It says Fortune magazine, the 50 best places to work for giving back in 2018. So there's a list of quite a few companies, and there's a lot of big companies on there, like ones that you may have heard of. Intuit, they do a lot of software. Quicken for your taxes, they do that. And Bank of America's on there. That's their quote right there. And Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So of all those people that are on there, all these big companies that are doing millions of dollars, there's a company of 5 people on there, and it's called Elevation Church. They have 5 employees, and they did $5 million last year. So the point is that you don't have to be big to make a big difference. That's his point from the TED Talk, is that him getting the shoes makes a difference. So I do want to emphasize that the things that we do can make a difference. Pearls from my volunteering experience is that you need to do something that you're passionate about. Otherwise, like I said, I'm asking you to give sacrificially. It's going to be hard. If you're not passionate about it, then you shouldn't. You're going to wane out, and it's not going to be as meaningful to you. Groups have more fun together than individuals. I mean, we already kind of went through that from a couple of articles and a couple of PhDs. As you do it together, you build your relationship. Stay committed to the task. The reason that I put that up there was that when I was in high school, in the youth group, we used to volunteer, and we'd go up to this Indian reservation way up in Canada, and we'd do like a Bible school for the kids, and we'd usually work on a building or something. There were no roads up there. We'd have to fly in. And that was a really poor population. Not poor financially. The government paid for them like they do here. They had everything that they need. But poor, they didn't know how to take care of themselves. They were poorly educated. They were spiritually poor. There's a lot of suicides within that community. There's a lot of substance abuse. That group liked to sniff gasoline. I mean, that's a really weird thing, but they fried their brains when they would do that. So what would happen is that a lot of groups would fly in and fly out. They'd build a building, and then they'd never be seen again. But our group went about every 6 months for about 10 years. And I wasn't always involved in that, but I know that after they went, time after time, that's when the people started opening up, and that's when our group made really some inroads. So you do need to stay committed to the task. And you don't have to be big to make a big difference. The things that we've been involved in, we've been through that. Opportunities that we have, as needed, ADR, that's Austin Disaster Relief. So, like when Hurricane Harvey came through, that's where we gave our supplies, and then they distributed them to Houston. But right now, Austin Disaster Relief needs some help with some cleanup around their facilities. Is that what it is, Jen?
Yeah, clean up on their facilities, and then also, inventory, donation, kind of organization, so.
Yeah. Inventory, donation, organization at ADR. That's the next line. On a scheduled date, we can pick the date. Clean up at Texas Baptist Children's Home on February 16th from approximately 10 to 12. That's a Saturday. Or we can push it out till April or May if we wanted to do that together. Blue Bonnet Mental Health has ongoing toy drives all the time. I mean, we can ask patients to do it, but what I'm proposing is that we go out and we get some toys for it. Sharing Birthday Joy does the same thing. These are for foster kids and for homeless people. They actually take them birthday gifts. It's a really nice thing for a foster kid or for a homeless person.
They throw them a party and give gifts. Yeah, that's cool.
And this is where Jennifer might actually do a little better talking about them than me, because she's been through this. And then the volunteer center collects, the volunteer center collects hygiene kits for local homeless and soldiers here and overseas. So is Sharing Birthday Joy working with the soldiers? Who's working with the soldiers?
The volunteer center, it's a center in Round Rock, and they do the hygiene kits.
Okay.
Sharing Birthday Joy is its
Oh,
own.
the Volunteer Center is the name of the organization?
Yes.
Okay. Sharing Birthday Joy is another organization.
Yes.
So those are all opportunities that we would have.
No, you just collect a box with everything they need and give it to them, and they do the party.
So, she's our outreach coordinator now, so you can run your ideas through her. But do any of those ideas spark your interest? Have I convinced you guys that this is something that we need to be involved in? This is not me telling you guys what we need to do. This is you guys saying this is what we want to do. If you don't want to do anything at all, well, we're still going to promote something. But it certainly wouldn't be required. This is because you guys want to do it.
I like the birthday thing, and
Oh,
I like the blood
birthday.
drive.
I like the birthday thingy for the kids.
I like the blood drive quite a bit.
I think Austin being such a high dog-friendly place too, maybe Humane Society, something,
Mhm.
because there's a lot of patients who have pets that they care about.